So my parents just gave away my college fund to my older brother, and I found out because I overheard them talking about it through the kitchen wall while I was eating cereal. Like, not even a heads up, not a conversation, nothing. Let me back up. I'm 17, I'm a junior, and for literally as long as I can remember, my parents have talked about the college funds. Plural, one for me, one for my brother Derek, who's 21. The way it worked was my grandparents on my mom's side set up these accounts when we were born, and my parents added to them over the years. Not like we were rich or anything. My dad drives a delivery truck and my mom works reception at a dental office, but they were proud of those accounts. My mom used to say stuff like, "You kids won't have to struggle the way we did," and it felt like this big family value, you know? Education matters, we sacrifice so you don't have to, that whole energy. And honestly, I believed it. I based my entire plan around it. I've been looking at schools, real schools, not just the community college 20 minutes away, but actual universities where I could study environmental science. I had spreadsheets. I had a list of programs ranked by their research opportunities. My guidance counselor said I had a real shot at some competitive places if my grades stayed where they were. So yeah, I was building something. Now about Derek. I love my brother. I want to make that clear because what I'm about to say might make it sound like I don't. Derek went to college at 18, picked business, hated it, switched to communications, hated that too, dropped half his classes one semester, and eventually just stopped going. He burned through his entire fund in 2.5 years with not much to show for it. No degree. He moved back home and worked at a gym for a while, then a vape shop, then did some DoorDash. He's not a bad person. He's just kind of lost. And my parents have always had this soft spot for him because he's the firstborn, and because I think they feel guilty, like maybe they pushed him into college before he was ready. Okay, so here's what happened. It was a Saturday, maybe 3 weeks ago. I was sitting at the dining table eating frosted flakes and half studying for an AP bio test, and my parents were in the kitchen. The wall between the dining room and kitchen in our house is super thin. Like, you can literally hear someone open a bag of chips through it. And I hear my mom say, "So we'd be pulling from Jade's account to cover Derek's welding program deposit and the first 2 semesters of tuition." Just like that, casual, like she was reading off a grocery list. My dad said something I couldn't fully hear, and then my mom said, "She'll understand. She's practical, and there's still time for her to get scholarships." I put my spoon down. I just sat there staring at my cereal getting soggy, and my brain was doing that thing where you hear something so clearly, but you're also like, did I actually just hear that? I waited maybe 10 minutes. I don't even know why I waited. I think part of me was hoping they'd walk in and say, "Hey, we need to talk to you about something," and at least pretend to include me. They didn't. My mom came out, saw me sitting there, said, "You okay, honey?" And I just said, "Yeah." That was my mistake. I should have said something right then. I should have opened my mouth and been like, "Hey, what did you just say about my college fund?" But I didn't because I was scared. I was scared that if I confronted them, it would become real. So instead, I went to my room and I spiraled for like 4 hours. I looked up the welding program Derek had been talking about. It's legit, actually. It's a 10-month certification program at a trade school about an hour away. The tuition isn't even that crazy. But first 2 semesters, plus the deposit, plus equipment fees, it added up, and that money was coming from my account. When I finally brought it up, it was at dinner that night. I tried to be calm. I said, "So are you guys using my college fund for Derek's welding thing?" The silence was so loud. My dad put his fork down. My mom looked at my dad. Derek wasn't even there, he was out with friends, which almost made it worse because they were making this decision about both of our futures, and neither of us was really part of the conversation. My dad said, "Jade, your brother has finally found something he's passionate about. We can't let this opportunity pass him by." And my mom jumped in with, "We're not taking all of it. And you're so smart, you'll get scholarships. You've always been the one who figures things out." And that's the line that broke me. You've always been the one who figures things out, because what I heard was, "We trust you to survive being screwed over, so we're going to screw you over," I said. "So because I'm responsible, I get punished?" My dad said I was being dramatic. My mom said they'd find a way to make it work for everyone. Nobody said sorry. I texted my best friend Ria about it that night, and she was furious on my behalf, which honestly I needed because I was starting to wonder if maybe I was overreacting. She screenshotted a bunch of scholarship deadlines and sent them to me, which was sweet but also kind of proved my parents' point, you know? Like even my best friend's first instinct was, "Well, you'll figure it out." I talked to Derek 2 days later. That conversation was weird. He didn't know the money was coming from my fund specifically. He thought my parents were pulling from savings or taking out a loan or something. When I told him, he got quiet, and then he said, "I mean, I didn't ask them to do that." And I believe him. But he also didn't say he'd turn it down. He didn't say, "That's messed up, I'll talk to them." He just kind of shrugged and said, "They're the parents, it's their call." My aunt, my mom's sister, called me a few days later because apparently my mom had told her about the situation and wanted her to smooth things over. My aunt tried to do this whole both sides thing, saying my parents were in an impossible position, that Derek really needed this win, that I was young and had time. I said, Derek's 21. He had time too, he had the same fund I had, he spent it. And my aunt said, people make mistakes, Jade. And I said, yeah, apparently so do parents. She didn't call back after that. At school, I couldn't focus. I kept pulling up my spreadsheet of colleges and then closing it because what was the point of ranking programs by research opportunities if I couldn't afford any of them? My grades dipped on 2 assignments that week. My AP bio teacher asked if everything was okay, and I almost lost it in the middle of class. The thing that really gets me is I don't even think my parents are terrible people. I think they looked at me and Derek and thought, she's strong. She'll land on her feet. He needs the help more. And maybe they're right that Derek needs help. But since when does needing help more mean you deserve someone else's help? Since when does being the kid who has it together mean you get less? Here's where things stand. The deposit has been paid. The money is partially gone. Derek starts his welding program next month and seems genuinely excited about it, which makes me feel guilty for being angry because I want him to succeed. I do. My parents said they'll figure out how to help me when my turn comes, but there's no plan. There's no spreadsheet. There's just we'll figure it out, which is the same thing they told Derek 4 years ago, and look how that went. I'm applying to every scholarship I can find. I'm studying for the SAT like my life depends on it because honestly, it kind of does now. And every time my mom says she's proud of me, it stings in a way it never used to. So tell me honestly, if your parents did this, would you forgive them? And would you be wrong if you couldn't?